Captain Raxx strode onto the bridge of the Xenthian battlecruiser, his heavy boots ringing on the metal deck plates. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Jax, jumped to attention and saluted. "Report," barked Raxx. "The human ship is standing by to receive you, sir," said Jax. "Their captain claims his engineers have completed the modifications to their warp drive as agreed." Raxx grunted. This unprecedented alliance with the humans had been forced upon them both by desperate circumstance. Still, working with these aliens left a bitter taste in his mouth. "Have you confirmed their claims?" "No, sir. We have only their word." "Isham, we will see soon enough if humans can be trusted." Raxx clasped his clawed hands behind his back. "Take us in slowly, raise shields, charge weapons arrays, and have gunnery crews stand by to target their engineering section." "Is that wise, Captain?" Raxx fixed the lieutenant with a piercing glare from his reptilian eyes. One can never be too careful when dealing with aliens. As the Xenthian ship glided towards the bulbous human vessel, Raxx examined it with a predator's appraising eye. Ungainly and asymmetrical it may have been, but he had seen firsthand the destructive power lurking within. "Sir, we are being hailed," reported the comms officer. On screen. The view screen blinked on to show the interior of the human bridge. It looked almost too brightly lit compared to the dim red battle lighting of the Xenthian ship. The human captain sat comfortably in his central command chair, seeming almost languid. Raxx bristled. Did they not consider the Xenthians a threat? "Captain Raxx," said the human jovially. "Welcome aboard the USS Valiant. I'm Captain Jack Nelson. We've been expecting you." "Captain," said Raxx cautiously, "I assume your engineers are ready to come aboard and inspect our modifications." "They will board shortly." Raxx studied the human captain's face, looking for any signs of anxiety or deception. But the pink skin and tiny mouth made reading their emotions almost impossible. "However, my weapons officers will want to scan your ship before allowing anyone to cross over." Captain Nelson smiled, baring a row of white teeth. "Of course, whatever makes you feel comfortable. We want our new Xenthian friends to feel right at home." Raxx doubted they would ever be friends, but he allowed the scans to proceed. The results came back negative. The human ship's warp drive showed unfamiliar energy spikes consistent with what they claimed to have done. Raxx gave the order for the engineers to shuttle over. If the humans planned any treachery, his boarding party would make them pay dearly. Over the next few hours, Raxx paced the bridge in agitation as his engineers investigated the human warp systems. When finally his comms officer reported the shuttle returning, he halted and drew himself up, hands behind his back. His chief engineer entered, saluted, and handed Raxx a data tablet. "It is true, Captain. The humans have modified their warp field generators to produce an envelope extension effect. If our ships operate in close formation, we should be able to exceed our previous maximum warp velocity." Raxx reviewed the data. It seemed the humans had been honest about their promise. This new speed could make all the difference. "Very well," said Raxx. "Helm, set a course for the frontier, warp factor 8. Signal the human ship to follow our heading and speed precisely." "Following now," Captain Raxx came Captain Nelson's voice over the comm. "It's been a pleasure working with you. Maybe when this is all done you'll come aboard for a drink? We make a mean whiskey sour." Raxx terminated the transmission with a swipe of his claws. Share drinks with a human? Unthinkable. But over the following weeks, Raxx gained a begrudging respect for his human counterparts. Not once did their formation break or their speed falter. And in their first battle against the Marauders, the Valiant and her crew performed exceptionally, destroying 3 enemy ships in the first fiery exchange. Raxx even detected a fierceness in their fighting spirit equal to any Xenthian warrior. When the last enemy ship had been reduced to a shattered hulk tumbling through space, Raxx opened a comm channel. "Your combat performance continues to impress. Captain Nelson." The human captain's oddly expressive face wrinkled in what Raxx guessed was a smile. "Happy to impress, Captain. Your gunners aren't too bad either. That was some fine shooting." Raxx was unsure how to respond, so he simply nodded before closing the channel. He knew his superiors still doubted the wisdom of this alliance, but Raxx could no longer bring himself to think of the humans as mere aliens. They had spilled blood together. There were none closer. Many more weeks of hard fighting passed as they pushed deeper into frontier space. Raxx grew to anticipate and appreciate the Valiant's support during heated exchanges. And after battles he openly praised Captain Nelson's tactics and aggression, to which the human always had some incomprehensibly good-natured quip. One day they detected a massive fleet massing for a counterattack. Raxx instantly opened communications with Nelson to plan their next move. "We cannot defeat them alone," said Raxx. "Your warp modifications have served us well, but it will not be enough this time." Nelson leaned forward, steepling his fingers. "I've been thinking about that. My chief engineer proposed one more modification that could tip the balance. But it's risky. Very close formation flying." Raxx replied, "The risk is acceptable. Tell me what you intend." What followed was the most intense combat Raxx had ever experienced. Linked together by a hair's-width warp field, the two ships danced a delicate, deadly ballet through the armada. Linked in iron embrace, they devastated the enemy with all guns blazing. When the battle finally receded, Raxx watched in pride and wonder at the shattered enemy wrecks tumbling in their wake. Then, with a grunt, he thrust a clawed hand towards Captain Nelson's image on the view screen. The human captain hesitated briefly, then extended his own pink five-fingered hand, grasping Raxx's in the Xenthian gesture of blood kinship. "We have won a great victory together," Captain said Raxx. "Our names will be recounted with honor in the battle epics of our descendants." Captain Nelson chuckled. "I like the sound of that. Maybe we'll co-author those epics someday, over a nice whiskey sour." Raxx's mouth split into the closest approximation of a human grin he could manage, baring rows of serrated teeth. Their two races still had much to reconcile between them, but understanding and cooperation born of battle is the surest path to peace. "I look forward to sharing that drink together, Bloodkin Nelson,"